The following program was paid for by Templar Real Estate. The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of WMTR. As always, it is advisable to consult a professional before making a major decision. It's time now for the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. Here's your host for the program, Joseph J. Zoppi.
Hello, welcome to the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. My name is Joseph J. Zoppi, a real estate investor, consumer advocate, author, and managing partner of Templar Real Estate Enterprises. I'm recording this from my home, so please excuse any interruptions, acoustic issues, things like that. Thank you very much. Appreciate the understanding. You could reach us at TemplarCashForHouses.com. That's TEMPLAR cashforhouses.com. Or you call us at 973-315-7990. Again, that's 973-315-7990. We could answer any questions you may have, or you could email us from our website. My company is a real estate investment firm. We buy houses for cash. We purchase apartment buildings. We do joint ventures with other real estate investors. We loan money for rehabs and provide transactional and gap funding as well. We work with individuals that want to invest with us in single-family houses up to apartment buildings. We do not speculate, and we're very protective of our money as well as our investors' money. I'm not a real estate agent, but I have individuals on staff that are agents that could sell your house through the traditional multiple listing service. Also, please note we are not a brokerage, okay? One other thing is that, I use my middle initial because there's other individuals with my same exact name, and there's also one that's even a real estate agent. So again, I'm not an agent. The other individual is, so that's one of the reasons why I use the middle initial also, just to designate who I am and make a difference in if you ever look any of us up, okay? This show will go over everything there is about real estate and those things that impact real estate. We'll talk about our rehabs, some of our investments, what went well, and what did not, especially how we learned from it. We will talk to you about the economy, interest rates. We'll discuss trends in real estate market. Real estate is one of your biggest investments, so it's important that you know as much as possible about it. I will provide you my opinion. It's only my opinion. I always tell everyone, make sure you do your own research. Look at things from a balanced perspective. When you make a decision on anything, always, balance it out. The pros and cons of everything. That's the way we do business all the time. We understand what the issue is, what the impact is, the pros and cons associated with it. So when you're researching things, again, you got to get different points of view. Some that are very pro for something, as well as those that are con against it, to try to understand it yourself and then try to make as educated decision as possible. When you see these articles, again, there's an understanding from the article that the author has a slant, usually for something or against something. So they're going to provide information that's going to lean in one direction over another. Good articles will try to balance it as best as possible, and a lot of times you can't always get those types of articles, unfortunately. Sometimes I've seen where I research certain types of software, and I might get a ranking. They might rank different software, and one will sound a lot better than the other, and then I've used them, and it's just what was on paper and what was practical were two different things. So you kind of need to understand that, and there's no right or wrong on some of this stuff. Sometimes it's just trial and error, and unfortunately you do have to rely on, and you should rely on, individuals with expertise in those areas, but you still need to check those out and understand some of the pros and cons so you could ask intelligent questions on that. We've been having, as always in the past month or two, private discussions with individuals on how to keep their house. So I've gotten a lot of calls on that, and we are here to help. We don't get anything out of it. What we get out of it is really the satisfaction to help people. As I've talked about before, there's nothing worse than having someone lose their house, because their house is their home. No matter how small it is, no matter how much it's run down or how nice it is, it doesn't matter. It's a home, and that's where your family is, or a family, and that's one of the reasons why we're in business, to try to help people out where possible. Also, if they're in a bind and they need cash quickly, we're here to help and make a deal as quick as possible to alleviate any pains or suffering that they're having, based on medical issues, or they just need to get out of a house for whatever reason. So today I'm going to talk about a few things. Again, how we look at houses during this pandemic. We're going to go over a few things that we encountered this week on our inspections, exemptions, also on our home design, and how we think about things, and things that you should be thinking of when you want to sell your house. We're going to go over a term called cost segregation. I'm going to also address a question that someone had, is it a good time to buy a house? So I'm going to address that. I'm going to talk about some market trends, some motivational individuals out there that want to sell. I'm going to talk about interest rates and some lending and some of those things associated with lending as well. So in terms of COVID-19, again, we'll make sure that if we're going to buy a house for cash, or even if we're going to sell a house for someone, we'll take all the measures that are necessary. If we have to go to the person's house, we'll ask the individuals to step out or stay in another room while we walk through the house. Preferably outside, so we're not bumping into each other. We always wear masks. We always have gloves on. We change those gloves every time we go to a new location, as well as the masks as well. If we don't have to go to the house, what we'll do is we'll have pictures taken, or someone will take pictures for us, the homeowner, or provide a video. We'll talk things through on the phone. If the individual likes what we're saying and the price that we're providing they're satisfied with, then we'll put a contract together, send it to your attorney, and then they could send it to you via email, and then you could sign it electronically. So it's basically right on the screen. You could accept it. So it's very easy. And then once that's done, we'll go through doing title searches, those types of things that the title company will do. And then we'll have a closing date, which is decided upon mutually. If you need 30 days, 60 days, whatever the case may be, we'll be more than happy to satisfy that need. And then we'll close on the house, and you'll have your money wired to you, and will be in your account within hours. So it's pretty seamless, it's a pretty straightforward approach to this. So it's easy, and you don't really have to worry about it too much, which is a good thing. The other thing I'm going to talk about, and I've brought it up before, is passive investing. So individuals sometimes team with us, and what they'll do is, instead of being an active member in the acquisition and maintenance and management of real estate, they'll take a passive approach to it. And what that is basically they'll receive on a periodic basis, whatever it is, monthly, quarterly, yearly, guaranteed a certain amount of income for that period, and it'll be consistent. And the reason for that is that a lot of people don't want to invest into the real estate market. The real estate market is going up, it's going down, especially now. Like I said, I'm very much against the market, and I feel real estate's a solid investment even nowadays. And if it's done correctly, you could usually mitigate a lot of different possibilities in terms of problems. Can't eliminate anything. There is no investment where there isn't a potential for a risk. The only way it's not for a risk is you don't put it in any investment. And that's basically it. But there's different things that we do to mitigate those. So if you're interested in any type of passive investing, please give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to go over things with you over the phone, and we could do what's called a Zoom call or whatever the case may be, and we could talk about it. Next thing I'm going to talk about is some of the things that we encountered this week. So we've been going through, I have one town which has been giving me a lot of heartaches in terms of inspections. I still haven't received an inspection yet, but next week is the day. It'll be Wednesday that I'm finally going to have an inspection done, so I'm very happy with it. I've been calling, and my staff members have been calling every day when they're going to process the paperwork. So finally that's being done. So we have a plumbing inspection that needs to be done. It's been failed once. I brought on one of my plumbers that I've always used after some of these failures and these delays by a new plumber, and he looks like he has everything under control. He's making some changes to make sure it's successful, and he's very good. He's attention to details, very good on him. But I pay a lot of money for his work and service. That's the unfortunate thing. So certain trades, you just pay a lot of money, no matter if you do this all day long or if it's just a homeowner and do it once in a while. There's just certain trades that very, very, very expensive. One of them is plumbing. Another one is masonry work. Electricians are expensive, but not as bad as masonry work, and also plumbers. It's just they're always very, very expensive. So I always have to just bite my tongue and suck it up. But the problem I had with the one plumber, again, like I said before, one of my plumbers had retired, so I was looking for an additional plumber. And I selected one, and I did the background search and everything, but it just didn't work out. And it happens sometimes, and we do this all the time, and we still have problems. That's what happens sometimes with different trades, different companies, different people. It's just, unfortunately, you have bad situations. So I'd like to close out this segment, and I'll be right back.
This is Joseph J. Zoppi, Managing Partner for Templar Real Estate Enterprises and TemplarCashForHouses.com. Felt this is important, so I'm recording this message from my home to all listeners. In this time of uncertainty and anxiety, my staff and I are here to help. We're here to provide private phone consultations free of charge. The first is for those individuals that feel they might eventually lose their house and need some advice on how to possibly save it. Second, as always, we're here for those that need to sell their house fast and need cash immediately. And the last, if you need steady or deferred income and you are looking for an alternative to the stock market, we can show you how to partner with us even in these uncertain times. You can reach us at 973-240-8593. That is 973-250-8593. Or sign up TemplarCanHelp.com. That is TEMPLAR canhelp.com. Thank you very much.
Hello, welcome back to the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. My name is Joseph Zoppi, Managing Partner of Templar Real Estate Enterprises. So right now I'd like to talk about home design. So right now we're in the middle of a rehab that's going on, and what we like to do a lot of times, but not all the time, is we like to have an open floor concept where we take down a number of the walls so you don't have as many walls that's really open. There's usually the walls between the kitchen and the living room and dining room are taken out, so it feels more spacious. So we do this a lot. We don't do it all the time, but we do it a lot, and every time we do it I still sit back and I look at it and I just in awe saying, wow, this looks great. It's so open. And one of the things with that, and you can do it with your own home too, we do this a lot, like I said, is that it provides a lot of natural light to come in, because the walls segregate the windows and the rooms, and the flow of light does not pass through the house as easily. So once you start knocking down walls, the light flow is just accentuated, and it really adds a lot to it. And if you could do that with your house, I'd strongly recommend it. So obviously, if you do anything like that, you really need an architect, and the architect will tell you what walls are load bearing and which ones are not. Load bearing walls are those that, again, support the upper parts of the house, whether it's the roof or the next floor above you. So the architect will come in, take a look, and say, okay, this is how you could correct it. And usually you have longer beams put in. You might have an additional column put in, and use some figurative, some nice decorative type of molding around the columns to make it look presentable and look nice. So we do that a lot, and we get a lot more money for our houses because of that. So we'll be in a neighborhood and there'll be X amount of properties for sale, and when people go in and the buyers go in, they'll look at it and they'll see a lot of houses and they're all the same. Then they walk into our house and it's just totally different. And when they walk in, you just hear the word wow. And then we know we got them. And we know we have a potential buyer. So it always works out really well. But with that being said, we have one house right now in New Milford, which we're doing that too. And we looked at it and it was like, wow. I stopped by this past weekend, and then I was like, because right there was a small kitchen. We knocked down the wall, and from the kitchen to the living room, and from the kitchen to the dining room, which was on the side. And then we had to figure out, then comes the tough part. After the wall is down, it's like, okay, how do we lay out the kitchen? How do we maximize space? How do we make it so it doesn't seem cramped still, so on and so forth? So, we do different things with the kitchen in terms of putting peninsulas or islands to enhance the kitchen, and as well as ensuring there's enough room in the different dining room and living room to make it, more attractive. And that's one of the reasons, you knock down a wall, even though it's, X inches thick, it just adds something to it. So you just have to be cognizant of that and cognizant of how to lay out a kitchen to, just accentuate what you have. And that's always a challenge. Every time we do this, it's always a challenge. What's the best way? And we have to sometimes figure out different scenarios We usually do all the kitchen layouts, and then we'll pass it on to my cabinet maker. He'll make them and then ship it to us. But it's always trying to figure out how to put as many cabinets in the kitchen as possible, how to keep it roomy, because everybody wants more kitchen cabinets. It's that simple. And there's different things we do. We have, taller, higher cabinets that reach higher up to the ceiling. The soffits, which are in the older houses, which are above the cabinets, are usually taken down, so we could extend the cabinets up to the ceiling, make it a lot larger, and make them bigger. So that's something that we do a lot as well, just have longer upper cabinets. One of the other things that we do is just to make sure that with the flooring. So a lot of times everybody likes tile flooring in the kitchen, and we do too. But we also like where if we could do hardwood floors throughout the floor, it's a lot better. Once you put a tile floor, it starts to break up the flooring, and it just doesn't look as good. Whereas when you just do all hardwood, it's very dramatic, especially if you do a nice color with a nice contrasting color. So we're going to be putting hardwood down in the kitchen, as well as one of the side rooms as well. So there's already hardwood there, so we're going to strip the hardwood and then stain everything. But the consistency also makes it feel larger than it is, instead of having the tiles, which breaks up the hardwood with the tile. It doesn't flow as nice. So those are two things that you should look into if you want to remodel your home, is take down some walls, and also have hardwood extended all the way through. It's dramatic and it looks really good. And from a durability perspective, it does last. And as long as you take care of it, having it in the kitchen is not an issue. And some water falls on it, that's not a problem. It's only when there's standing water and it's laying there for a long period of time, then you have an issue. But besides that, there really is no issue with having hardwood in the kitchen. Next thing I'm going to talk about is cost segregation. So I'm going to talk about this briefly because I would like to have maybe one full radio show on it, and I'm going to probably have a guest attend and go over cost segregation in more detail. But cost segregation is used on the real estate side, is that if you purchase any type of apartment building, usually $500,000 on up, and what happens is that you're able to depreciate certain things faster as a result of it. And there's a study that goes on, and it's backed up by all the information that you provide in terms of the different features that are in an apartment building. So, I was talking to a cost segregation expert the other day, and I think they put it really, I like the way they put it. They said if you had an apartment building and you turned it upside down and shook it, those things that fall out are factored into the cost segregation, so you could depreciate quicker. So that would be like cabinets, flooring, all the fixtures, things like that. I think molding as well, any type of window fixtures, all those types of things. So you could depreciate those quicker instead of over the life of the apartment building, 27, I think, and a half years. So you could get more taxes back in the end, or write off, or reduce your tax burden. So it's really good. There's also for the first year you get bonus depreciation, so you could even write off a lot more faster. and they've increased it since this COVID-19, or was it last year? I'm not quite sure. So you could depreciate even more. So if you buy a big enough property, you might be able to write off all your taxes that you had paid into state and federal. So that's a good thing. So I highly recommend it, and I will have someone in the coming weeks to discuss cost segregation in a lot more detail. Next thing I want to talk about is it a good time to buy a house? So I get that question a lot. I've also been asked by a publication this week about that, and I'll see if the article's being published. I won't know that for probably another week or so. But, the first question was basically, is it a bad idea right now, or is it a good opportunity to buy a house? So, buying a house anytime is really it's always a good time, especially if you need to buy a house, if you have to upgrade to a better school district, or you're moving, so on and so forth. But, any time is a good time. Over the past couple of months, obviously, there's been a tightening of the real estate in terms of viewings, things like that, especially here in Jersey, as well as New York. So there's a lot of virtual tours going on, and we've talked about that a little bit in previous shows. But with that being said, a number of individuals have taken their houses off the market, and the market prices right now are holding very strong. So if you're interested in selling, I'd strongly recommend you list your house. I was talking to a agent in Madison, and she was saying that one house went up, and within a day or two they had like 12 offers on it. So it's definitely, that's a good thing. So I would definitely recommend looking into it if I was you. I think it's a good thing. But with that being said, can you get a good deal? You could still get a good deal depending on who's selling the house. So some people have lost their jobs. Some people have been furloughed. Under those situations, you have someone that's anxious to sell. So, basically you could get a good to a great deal, and you could probably help someone out of a tough situation. So, I would encourage it under, any scenario, whether you want to get a great deal or it's a good time to sell. So the question is it a buyer's or a seller's market? So it depends what part of the country you're in. So like I said, is that right now it's a seller's market for the most part, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to change. First of all, normally, a seller's market is when there's limited inventory. That's one of the deciding factors, and a lot of times that's because maybe new companies have come into the area, and new jobs, so on and so forth. So that's going to limit the number of houses that are available, and that jacks it up. But on the flip side, there's certain areas in the country that are going to be hit harder. Now, New York City, for one, is a lot of people are moving out of New York City, or they plan to move out of New York City because of what happened with COVID-19. It's that simple. I've spoke to someone the other day. They says, we were thinking about leaving New York City. Now we're leaving definitely. So that's one thing that you have to look into, and you might be able to get a good deal in like New York City or other populated areas that have are densely populated. You definitely will be able to get a deal. But in the suburbs here right now, it's a little tight, and that's a good thing. So the last thing is in terms of what should you look out for in terms of deciding. Biggest thing is whether you're going to have a job in 6 months and your credit rating. Those are the two deciding factors if you want to buy a house. If you don't think you're going to have a job in 6 months, I wouldn't be getting a house, and we all know that. And make sure you have a high credit rating because the banks have really increased their requirements. So my time is out. Thank you very much, and I appreciate this time together. God bless and take care.
This is Joseph J. Zoppi, Managing Partner for Templar Real Estate Enterprises and TemplarCashForHouses.com. Felt this is important, so I am recording this message from my home to all listeners. In this time of uncertainty and anxiety, my staff and I are here to help. We're here to provide private phone consultations free of charge. The first is for those individuals that feel they might eventually lose their house and need some advice on how to possibly save it. Second, as always, we're here for those that need to sell their house fast and need cash immediately. And the last, if you need steady or deferred income and you are looking for an alternative to the stock market, we can show you how to partner with us even in these uncertain times. You can reach us at 973-240-8593. That is 973-250-8593. Or sign up TemplarCanHelp.com. That is TEMPLAR canhelp.com. Thank you very much.